Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. So I want to make a video discussing why Bitcoin maxis hate Ethereum and its offspring so much. This is something that was I never really understood because I'd be going to these cryptocurrency meetups, networking within the various crypto communities, and of course I would wind up in Bitcoin maxi communities because they have like very strong groups, particularly like within the various meetups that you can join in your major cities. And I was always really fascinated by the abject hatred they had for anything that wasn't Bitcoin, because to me, although Bitcoin was the original one, like there are other cryptocurrencies that serve different utilities. And even if you loved Bitcoin like I do, I still see the value of some other cryptos. And I was always in agreement with them, and increasingly so, that I understand that basically like 99% of anything that isn't Bitcoin is either a scam, it's a fraud, they don't make money, they don't actually serve any utility. But there is still like 1% of them that have like real actual use case, and not just like a theoretical use case, like it's got practical usage, right? So let me go where was it? Let me go back here. Now I'm just gonna name a few of these ones off the top of my head, and I'm just gonna explain the actual real life use case of some of these coins. It might be better to just get it over onto CoinMarketCap. It'd be easy to explain. CoinGecko, there we go. So like before getting into Ethereum, right? Like I want to explain some other altcoins and their genuine use cases, right? To kind of highlight the arrogance and hypocrisy, the big-headedness of the Bitcoin maxis. So Tether, it's a stable coin. USDC, it's a stable coin, right? Like there are times where you just are going to, like, you've made a lot of money in crypto. You don't necessarily want to sell your Bitcoin on an exchange, for fiat, and then put it back in your bank. You still want the aspects of cryptocurrency in regards to anonymity and the fact that your crypto is on the blockchain. You actually are the custodian of your funds, but you'd rather be your value be based on what's going on with the US dollar, because it's genuinely more stable than Bitcoin. And maybe you decide that you don't want to hold your funds in Bitcoin because it's too volatile, and maybe it's just a temporary thing, or maybe it's a long-term thing. Like that's got real utility to it. I don't see why a Bitcoin maxi would hate the idea of a stablecoin. Ripple is a really interesting cryptocurrency. Although I hated it for a long time, I don't anymore. The reason why I don't hate it is because Ripple makes a lot of money. Like it's a business first and foremost, right? Like they've reached out to a lot of banks, and they've done deals with them to become the settlement layer for their financial system. So when Bank A sends funds to Bank B in another country, rather than going through the SWIFT system where it costs like upwards of 6% and it takes 3 days, they can simply use Ripple, where it's done with a fraction of the cost, and it's very quick. Maybe Bitcoin maxis will say, well, they should just use Bitcoin. But I mean, it just as a business model, I think it's a smart business. I want to talk about where is it? Tron. Like Tron is a very good, like it's a good business. Like because of USDT being utilizing the Ethereum blockchain, it's expensive. So Tron came along with a solution to have USDT on its own blockchain, which is TRC20, and basically, if you want to use, if you want to send funds via USDT TRC20, you need to have the Tron token, right? So there's actual value to owning this token. And then you've got Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, which is like, maybe you have Bitcoin, but it's too expensive to send to another place, like another exchange. So you swap it into Litecoin, then you send the funds to another exchange, then you redeem the Litecoin, back into Bitcoin, ultimately saving on exchange. So the fees, right? The point is that other cryptos, they serve a unique purpose. They're different to Bitcoin. They exist in a different niche, and they do different things. Now, I understand when Bitcoin maxis say a lot of things aren't useful, right? Now, I want to talk about that real quick, so I don't disagree with them. Like, like, I'm just being real, like Shiba Inu doesn't need to exist. Like, it doesn't serve any functional utility. Maybe you could say, for those that are degens, it can just help you get more exposure to the market when there's an upswing. Chainlink, as far as I know, is fairly useless. I used to have a lot of faith in Chainlink, like, to be the, you know, an oracle system, but most altcoins don't really need it. Polkadot has been useless for a long time. Like, they haven't really created anything. Like, they're not, like, Polkadot and Cardano, like, they're basically like another kind of Ethereum. They want other projects to build on their platform, but no one's really done it because it's just, I don't know, they're not really, I don't know, Cardano is pretty much useless. Polkadot hasn't really produced anything of value. Compare that to Solana or Ethereum, which has a lot of very valuable things built on their platform. So it's complicated. Like, some of them are useful, most of them are completely useless, but then we get to the most useful altcoin in existence. You know, the thing that is has pretty much created the altcoin ecosystem, and that's Ethereum. The question is, why do Bitcoin maxis hate Ethereum so much? And I'll never forget, I was at a Bitcoin maxi, I'm gonna say meeting. It was kind of like a bit of a conference, right, in a city. I won't name which city because I don't want to dox them, right? And there was like a speaker on the stage talking about investing in Bitcoin, into some, like, I think it was talking about ETFs or something, right? Like, and someone puts up their hand as like, when are we going to get an ETH ETF? And I kid you not, like, almost like school children in the back, like some school bullies, like, the leader of the Bitcoin Maxi group and some of his close people, they just start laughing, like hackling like hyenas. This person even dared mention Ethereum, and I never really could understand, like, the level of vitriol Bitcoin maxis had towards Ethereum. Again, I understand if they hate other things, like, it'd be fine if they hated even Solana or USDC or XRP, but why Ethereum? Why would you hate Ethereum despite the fact that it serves so many purposes? And I want to actually, even though I've defended altcoins and Ethereum so much, I want to actually explain things from the Bitcoin maxis perspective, and I'm going to be completely honest, I'm at least 80% sympathetic to their attitude, although the pig-headedness towards the utility of other cryptos I don't agree with, because I think many cryptos have legitimate use cases, and I actually use them not because I'm a shitcoiner, but because I use them for its utility. So let's get into it. Why do they hate it so much? The reason why they hate it so much, and there's a number of reasons, but I want to talk about, like, a particular incident that happened in 2016 that even for me has tarnished the reputation of Ethereum and all altcoins in particular, right? So in 2016, there was a hack on the DAO, on the Ethereum DAO, which contained hundreds of millions of dollars, perhaps more. And this is a fund that was a pool of funds meant for the Ethereum Foundation to make certain changes, pay for development, things like that. And there was a hack on their on this thing, which basically allowed the hacker to walk away with millions of dollars worth of Ethereum. And if this happened on Bitcoin, the funds would be lost forever. There would be no way to reverse this, and that's the point of Bitcoin. The beauty of Bitcoin is that it's non-reversible. They have non-reversible transactions. Now, as someone that deals regularly in peer-to-peer trading, one of the biggest problems that you encounter is someone that's selling Bitcoin in exchange for another payment method like a bank transfer, is that frequently payment methods, whether it's a bank, PayPal, whatever, they give the option, stupidly, to the person who's sending those funds to be able to reverse it. What I mean by that is a bank can, someone can buy something like via bank transfer or something like that. They can call their bank, say, hey, I was scammed, I didn't actually mean to send the funds, can you reverse the transactions? If it's within the bank's ability to do so, they will do it. instantly, without hesitation, side with the sender of the funds and reverse the transaction simply upon request. Now, I think if they do it like, a dozen times or something like that, maybe the bank will start getting suspicious and assume this person's a scammer, shut down their bank account. But a person who wants to scam can get away with it so easily. And it's for this reason why frequently people that are selling Bitcoin for like a bank transfer, right, on the P2P markets, they'll often charge like significantly above market rate because of the risk that someone's going to scam them. Same with PayPal. If you sell, not even if you're a Bitcoin seller, imagine if you're just selling anything via PayPal, right? You're selling goods and services. Someone can receive the product, make a dispute on PayPal and say, I never received the product, or maybe the goods are faulty, and PayPal will very quickly side with the buyer, and ultimately, frequently, you will lose money as a seller just to scams. And this is one of the most heinous things about, it's not even just fiat money in general. Like if I've got cash and I give it to you, you can't just reverse that payment because it's in my pocket. But the problem with fiat payments in general is that we rely on custodians to manage our funds for us. We rely on banks. We rely on neobanks like TransferWise, Revolut, PayPal, things like this. And the custodians of these funds, they like to play God with money. So they can basically pull money out from your pocket if the person who sent those funds originally said they didn't receive it, which is just an absolutely terrible system to have. It ultimately means that you don't really have control over your money because of this kind of system. So Bitcoin comes along and it's immutable. That means that when you send funds to someone else, even if it was a mistake, you can never get those funds back, right? But that makes it safe to send, where it's not safe to send a lot of payment methods because you can ultimately lose those funds if someone decides to scam you, or maybe, the government or the bank, they have like some new rule. Who knows what it can be, but they can basically just, with a click of a button, reverse, any bank payment that you've had, return it back to the receiver. You don't know what, but Bitcoin transactions are immutable. And this was supposed to be the thing that underlined all cryptocurrencies. You weren't ever supposed to be able to undo transactions. Now, what happened with the Ethereum hack, which was unprecedented in crypto history, was that there was a decision made by the DAO, who were the people that had the majority of the mining power and could ultimately choose the overall direction of the Ethereum blockchain, decided in unison that they were going to fork the Ethereum blockchain. So there was going to be a version of Ethereum where the hack didn't happen, ultimately undoing the damage that was done. But ultimately, it really destroyed confidence in Ethereum because it meant that if something unfortunate happened on the Ethereum blockchain, the owners of Ethereum, well, not the owners, but by consensus, by mining power at that time, it could be decided that you could simply just undo all the damage, right? And it's not necessarily this is something that will happen every time. I think this is still significantly better than any bank transfer or using PayPal, but it really put a sour taste in a lot of the more serious ideologues within the crypto community who believe that essentially crypto is not something that should be, you don't have the ability to just reverse it. If you do have the ability to reverse it, then it really denigrates the value of that cryptocurrency, and I think they're 100% right. From the Bitcoin Maxis perspective, if there's another hack, or maybe if enough of the mining power or now the staking power becomes coerced by a small enough group who is in unison about a particular idea, they can simply say, you know what, Ethereum's going to go in this direction and we're going to undo all of these transactions, right? And by the way, if you're curious what happened at the time of the fork that basically undid those transactions is the Ethereum that we have to this day, where the more ideologically focused individuals who didn't go along with this proposal, they forked off into what's called Ethereum Classic, which you still have to this day, which is the version of Ethereum that exists where the hack did take place, where the hacker did walk away with, millions of dollars of Ethereum, which would be Ethereum Classic. and they're still functioning to this day. However, the version of Ethereum we have is basically, as far as I'm concerned, the version of Ethereum where the bad guys won. The bad guys being, well, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Vitalik and the DAO, but ultimately they did go against their principles in order to be able to reverse this transaction. And the precedent is set where this kind of thing could potentially happen in the future. And you might think, well, who cares about some hackers, right? But you don't know if Ethereum is eventually co-opted, if the staking power in this case, because before it was proof of work, if the mining power was co-opted enough by, a large enough group of interested people, you could basically do things like play God, fork the blockchain to make it go into a particular direction. Now, if the staking power was co-opted enough, and now we've got the Ethereum ETF, right? So increasingly so, more and more of Ethereum is going to be owned by large institutions, right? Already around 5% of all of Bitcoin is owned by large institutions like BlackRock. Ethereum is probably going to go the same route. You don't know if in the future just 10% of Ethereum is owned by BlackRock, and a bunch of other large institutions. What if one day them and a consortium of other interested players decide, you know what, we don't like the way Ethereum's going, we just want to play God with it. That's the kind of thing that can happen. And on Bitcoin, there are dodgy things that can happen. There's always a theory of, like, what if 51% of all the mining power was owned by interested parties and wanted to do a bunch of dodgy stuff. That's always theoretically something that's possible, but the reality is this actually happened on Ethereum. And from that perspective, I can understand why the Maxis don't like Ethereum. And the thing is, so many things were built on top of Ethereum that the same thing could happen to anything else, right? The same thing could happen with Solana. The same thing could happen with Cardano. Any of the ERC20 tokens, the same thing could happen. So that's just a little rundown of the pros and cons of this argument. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. Use my referral links in the description down below. If you want to buy cryptocurrency without KYC, you can only do so on a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchange that doesn't require any KYC, and ideally you want to do it on a non-custodial exchange. This means if the exchange goes down, they don't take your funds down to the bottom of the ocean. So you want to use exchanges like Local CoinSwap and HODL. These are the best places to do it. So make sure to use my referral link in the description down below, and I'll see you next time.